I have with me a copy of the Star. On the front page of the Star newspaper, how Mackenzie won the hearts of villagers. Put into perspective, followers and residents mingled freely for 3 good years. But this changed at the beginning of their 40-day fast. How Mackenzie won the hearts of villagers, described in this particular paper. Also on the front page, missing sisters linked to Good News Church in Chakahola. Conversations about that. And remember, this is still the particular lady that was trending on social media. Remember the air hostess? Well, that is the one. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. Also there, floods wreak havoc in Mandera and Kisumu, displacing 2,000. And we have picture there of floods. Remember, this is also a very big conversation that is what was taking trend yesterday. And pictured on this particular paper, residents wade through flooded water after heavy rains at Kolua Central in Kisumu County yesterday. And that village is flooded with water reaching up to the waist. Pictured there on the Star newspaper. And finally, I said I have the People Daily here. The man who preached death, from a taxi driver to a cult leader, Paul Mackenzie, a father of 17, has had a conquered personal history, and now 47 bodies have been dug up in his private property in one of Kenya's most macabre sagas. That is on the front page of the People Daily. Also, AU picks Uhuru for Ethiopia peace talks. That's on the front page of the People Daily. Will shut down counties unless state pays up, warns governors. The amount of money that the national government owes counties is coming up to 94.5 billion Kenya shillings. The amount of money that the devolved governments were to get in February is coming up to 31.5 billion Kenya shillings. And what the national government wants to pay in March is coming up to 29.6 billion Kenya shillings. And 407 billion Kenya shillings is what the governors had asked for the next year's budget. And thus are our dailies this morning. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to be part of this conversation. Join us. The hashtag is Good Morning Kenya at Ramaguko, which is my handle, at KBC Channel 1, which is the official station handle. Remember, we are live from the broadcasting house here in Nairobi, Kenya. Also streaming through our website, www.kbc.co.ke. Inviting my guests now to join in this particular conversation. I am with, as I mentioned earlier, Mr. Frank there and Mr. Daniel Mwathi joining me today. And gentlemen, you've seen what is trending. And I've just highlighted the front page only, the front pages only. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the Paul Mackenzie story. This massacre, this occult. Let me start with you, Daniel Mwathi. What do you think? What do you make about this story?
It's really sad to be in this kind of a situation. Remember, we are talking of over 70 lives. We are not talking of lives of goats, sheep, not even the much cherished elephants, but we are talking of lives of people.
Our mothers,
over 70.
our fathers, children.
Lives of people, over 70, being massacred. I think it's a situation that is a shame even to our country, and it's a wake-up call to all of us as a country, and everybody as a stake to look for a solution so that we don't find ourselves in such a situation again. Remember, we have had several disasters there before, which we have even amplified, but they have not met this kind of deaths. So this is a situation which needs attention from all quarters here in Kenya.
Yeah. What do you think about this, Frank?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that it's a very sad state of affairs. that we have to lose 73 adult citizens in such a manner that they have been killed or died in such circumstances. However, it is a wake-up call to our government, because several issues have been raised over why the government has taken too long to discover such a cult, such activities, why such a man like Mr. Pastor Paul Mackenzie has managed to bury over 40 bodies within his compound and no one realized. It is an eye-opener. It shows that our agencies are asleep. They are just enjoying whatever they're getting, and it is sad. Something needs to be done. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, I'm looking at this particular conversation, and there is a story highlighted in one of the dailies, the Star in particular.
Yes.
And as I was going through this, I realized that actually people started trickling there many years back, and they mingled freely with the villagers of the area. Now, as time went by, the number of people who were trickling in increased. And as of the time when they started fasting, it is reported that they started being hostile to the villagers. Hostility was seen. And there was a time that even a border operator was attacked by one of Mackenzie's followers,
yes,
where they refused to accept any outsiders into those particular areas where they were fasting. Do you feel like this is actually a loophole? Do you feel like this is an eye-opener that shows us the cracks that are there in our devolved units? Still on you, Frank.
Yes, we have had different religions going to an extreme end, on what is basically known as radicalization.
Yeah.
We've seen we know how the Al-Qaeda came into being. We know what Al-Shabaab does. And now we are experiencing the same with Pastor Paul Mackenzie's followers. That when we go into that extreme end, we sometimes turn into being hostile to even our relatives, our friends, because we realize that they do not subscribe to the same or issues that we also do subscribe to. So that makes or creates a rift between those faithfuls and their relatives. So I think there needs to be a regulation on how these religious activities can be conducted and ensure that the rights of people are safeguarded.
But then, and Dan and Frank, help me here, help me understand.
Yes.
What exactly are we regulating? There was a conversation that I was having yesterday with some colleagues, and we were, and I asked them this question: are we regulating spirituality or religion? What exactly do we need to regulate here? Dan.
Surely, this situation also is, you can look at some various in some of the systems. For example, we have our Nyumba Kumi systems. Don't understand how this number of people or this kind of scenario can happen when we have, if at all, these systems are really strong. So it's a time we also strengthen the systems. In the regulations, I think it's the item that we don't abuse or rather misuse the power of the so-called freedom of worship. Freedom of worship does not mean you do anything that you want. So the government should come in and really check, even after maybe these people, we have given maybe the licenses to go ahead with their religious activities. It's the high time we make a follow-up of knowing after they are out there, what actually are they doing. Kenya, we are known of being smart as far as intelligence is concerned. So I don't understand how this kind of activity can take this number of years. Remember, this man was in jail was in court at some time back in 2018. And all through, there should be maybe have been a follow-up. After the body was given and all this, what is he doing? And this should have been capped maybe in the first months, not even years. So
First months.
the first months should have been known that whatever he is doing is not really right, and we would have saved many lives.
Okay. But still, Dan,
Yes.
what are you regulating? What needs to be regulated? You mentioned freedom of worship.
Yes.
We have rights to believe in what we want to believe. Everybody can believe in what they want to believe. And that's why conversations about belief systems and what we subscribe to have come to play. Remember, there was a time that people even brought in issues concerning LGBTQ, and it was a conversation in Parliament. I believe I am of this particular orientation. I believe I am of this particular direction. You have no right to infringe into what I believe in. Picking a note of that, taking note of that, if I believe that I need to starve myself to death, what prevents me from doing it? Let's have that conversation. Still, what are you regulating, Frank?
Yes, I think the problem with our country begins with Article 8 of the Constitution, which says that there shall be no state religion. That means there is no specific religion that we all as a nation subscribe to, because we have Christians, we have Islam, we have Hindus, we have recently heard about the Rastafarians who are now saying that marijuana should be legalized because they believe that's their tool of worship, and so on and so forth. So ideally, the state is focused on regulating religion, but they cannot. It's a very thin and thick line to try to regulate spiritualism. the extent to which you can regulate spiritualism depends on how you go about regulating religion.
Do you agree with that?
Partly I do, but we should go further and see how we regulate the activities that we are doing in various institutions that are there, including religion. How do you, once you are free there to do whatever you want to do, whatever you are doing, is it affecting the rights of other people who may be innocent? For example, this kind of situation, we are seeing even innocent children having died as a result of this. So basically what we should regulate is what exactly the activities done after we have licensed, we have given the rights to religion and all that. We should go further and regulate what we are doing or what these particular people are doing. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we let everybody to do whatever he wants, irrespective of the fact that it's affecting others negatively, then we will not be doing the right thing. Regulation of what is to be done.
And to further on that, the Constitution has given us freedom of worship, freedom of religion, freedom of association. Yes. However, these freedoms are not absolute. They are not cast on stone. They are limited to some extent. In fact, they are limited to the extent where they are affecting another person's right or freedom. So if we want to regulate religion, we must ensure that whichever organization which is registered in terms of religion is subscribed to the regulations put in the Constitution, the framework, and also in terms of now limiting the spiritualism, we have to ensure that those freedoms as persons are enjoying them do not infringe on other persons' rights. In that way, we can be able to perhaps win the situation on whether we want to regulate religion or spiritualism.
But then still, we need to have, of course, a conversation also concerning sensitization. Kenyans getting to know whether they are in a spiritual movement or a church.
That is true. That is true. Because we've had persons who get into churches for the sake of getting into churches.
Yeah.
They don't understand the reason as to why they're getting into those churches. If it is the true worship, let it be the true worship. So sensitization is a key aspect when it comes to enlightening the masses, the citizens, on what is supposed to be done and how it's supposed to be done. And therefore the state has really failed when it comes to that aspect of sensitization, because
how does the government fail in sensitization of belief systems? Surely
the government
Let's talk facts,
the government should come up with a framework which says that this church or this religion is supposed to be registered, and these are the guidelines to be followed by this specific or whichever religion that wishes to come up. These are the guidelines.
All right.
Yes.
Well, I know, Dan, you want to give in your view on that, but allow me to cut us short. Let's take a break, and then we'll be back, because we still have more stories to talk about. This is Good Morning Kenya. Thank you so much for sticking with us. Still, this is Good Morning Kenya. Asante sana from wherever you're watching us from. You're just in time for the continuation of this particular live broadcast right here on KBC Channel 1. My name is Ram Maguko, if you've just joined us. And of course, we're taking a look at what is making headlines today on people and politics. I am with, in studio, Dan Mwadhi, governance expert. And to my far right, I am also with Frank Nyamari Onchweri, political analyst. Now, let's take a look at one other story that is making headlines today. Governors are threatening to shut down their counties in the next 14 days if they do not get their demands met. And we are looking at delayed cash transfers from the National Treasury that have left the counties with unpaid salaries and slow development. Frank, what do you make of this?
Yeah, again, it is not a good sign for devolution, because the reason as to why counties came into being was to enable citizens to be able to access services by the government on a grassroots level. So when the governors are saying that they shall shut down, that is not proper, because they should also continue to run the counties based on the revenue that they are collecting from their individual specific governments, county governments. It's not entirely that they depend on the national government for them to be in a position to run their daily activities. However, there are those functions that have been devolved, for example, health, which is devolved, and so many other functions which are devolved. I think those are the only functions that I think might be hit when the national government does not disburse funds as required.
All right.
Therefore, county government should run the rest of the rest of the functions which are within their hands, and allow the national government to also disburse these funds to be able to make them continue with their activities. On the other hand, the national government is also failing, because what are the reasons as to why they have not disbursed even 1% or 2% of the funds? Yet we are seeing them having money, throwing money left and center, buying cars and Porsche vehicles, whereas counties are suffering. So it's a question that needs to be looked at into and given the answers that they deserve.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, Dan, let me come over to you, but still let me give us or remind us the numbers that we are looking into here, because the county governors are saying that they, of course, want to give 14-day ultimatum. They have given a 14-day ultimatum to Ruto's administration. The amount of money that the national government owes the counties is coming up to 94.5 billion Kenya shillings. 94.5 billion Kenya shillings. Is it possible to get this money sent to the counties within 2 weeks? Sounds impossible. Sounds impossible. And I believe that the national government has been trying to communicate that, yes, we have no money. Remember Gachagua, the deputy president, mentioned that right now we don't have money and that they inherited a dilapidated economy. Isn't it unfair that the governors are making such kind of a demand to the president? What do you think about that?
Thank you, Lam. I think the essence of devolution is taking services closer to the people. More than 3/4 of the ministries we have here in Kenya are devolved. So most of the ministries which touch the lives of the common mwananchi there at the ground are really devolved, which means the money they are getting from the national government, a bigger percentage of it is going to services which touch the mwananchi. Talk of health, talk of agriculture, talk of water, all those ministries are devolved. And for them to function, we have to have funds in the, to the counties. Remember, we are talking of, the governors are talking of 4 months having not received the disbursement from the national government.
Yeah, they're saying January, for February, 31.45 billion, for March, 29.6 billion, and the 33 billion owed to the counties for April.
So once this money is not dispersed, it means these people cannot function. As we talk right now, there are many counties which have not paid their workers for
all counties,
for quite a number of days. Even those who have tried, they have made some local arrangements, maybe with their local banks and all that, just to ensure that the staff are in place. But they cannot stress so much. They will reach a level that there's a time that will come that these workers cannot go to work. They cannot serve the wananchi when they cannot reach their places of work, when they cannot feed, they have nothing to put in their stomach.
But shouldn't they give the government time to work and get the funds they need? To me,
Lam, I think 3-4 months is good time. We should be talking of a solution now, not giving excuse. The excuse is we have no money, we have no money, we have no money. The fact that we have no money, these local, the county staff have to work. Doctors have to go to the hospitals, whether there is money or not. So there should, the national government should come up with a solution. I think it's a high time we think outside the box and look at how we are going to share whatever is available. If we are talking of 3 months, I think that is way too much. Maybe if we are talking of delay in, maybe if we are talking of them waiting for March or April, that one is a bit understandable. But now if we are talking of since January, and they are operating, there are things which need to be done at the county levels. I think the governors have a point. There is something that needs to be addressed. And when you talk of governors, remember they are not talking about themselves. They are talking of services to the mwananchi. Simply because, as I said there earlier, these ministries which they are holding are the ones which touch the local mwananchi in the greatest way possible. These ministries which are in the national government, which are not devolved, talk of foreign affairs. The local mwananchi will take long before feeling the effect of anything not done in the foreign affairs. But look at agriculture.
You believe those are not as heavy as the county issues?
All ministries are important. But what I'm saying is there should be equitable sharing. What is left in the national government, also at the county level, there should be money. Governors should not be talking of 4 months having not gotten money from the national government. There should be a solution for that.
What's making me laugh is you're mentioning foreign affairs issues don't affect the people at the at the grassroots level as it is as heavy as it should.
What I'm saying, there is a degree of event. All ministries are important. That's why they are there in the first place. But the effect, the impact, the level at which the local mwananchi is feeling this. There's somebody in the village who has never traveled out of the country, but he has gone to the local dispensary almost every month. He is at his farm, so he needs agriculture. So what I'm saying is all ministries are important, but let us also understand that is why we came up with the devolution in 2010, so that money can be decentralized, taken down to the people.
Yes, I want to agree with Mr. Mwadi on the fact that all ministries are important and there is a degree of importance or urgency. However, the reason as to why I cling on the fact that counties should not shut is the fact that those are devolved units and it is in the constitution that they should continue running. However, when we look at it from a realistic perspective, we realize that counties collect revenue, they give it 100% to the national government, and then the national government distributes 15% to the counties again. So this 15% is now supposed to be helping the counties. Remember, they raised 100% and gave it to the government, and the government is now giving them back 15%. There should be no excuse as to why the government should be crying that they do not have money.
There is something that happened in Parliament, and particularly at the Senate level.
Yes.
Where the governors raised some dissatisfaction with how the Senate handled their particular matter, in which they voted on the Division of Revenue Bill 2023, rejecting an amendment that would have seen the counties or the devolved units get 407 billion shillings as equitable shares in the financial year 2023-2024. Do you feel like this move by the Senate was the right move? And are the governors acting based on this particular move by Senate?
Senate is tasked with oversight on counties. So they are actually the champions of devolution when it comes to counties. They are supposed to be there championing or advocating for additional revenue to counties to help them run their affairs and be able to benefit the common person. When we see the senators rejecting, perhaps there are reasons, because there has not been accountability from most of the governors when it comes to how that monies that were disbursed to them was spent. There has not been clear accountability on that aspect. So it is here nor there as to whether the governors are acting, giving the government a 14 days ultimatum to disburse in reiterating on the decision that was made in the Senate. And it is difficult to come out, not unless we go back to that discussion again and be able to see what were the reasons that the senators gave. The senators gave. Yes.
And I'm looking at what the Council of Governors chairperson Anne Waiguru mentioned. He said that, and I quote, that we note with concern that the history of devolution, that in the history of devolution, the Senate has voted against the spirit of devolution.
Yes.
By rejecting this amendment to give the counties 407 billion shillings.
Yes.
Someone can interpret that this is a reiteration, a reaction by governors against the senators, so that they can be able to get this particular money or amendment done.
Thank you, Lam. I think let's start it here. Senate is its core mandate is to look at the functions at the county level.
At the county.
So
oversight.
Senate, the oversight, and also take care of the interests of the counties. So they are the ones who are supposed to be the advocates, or rather look for ways and means of how counties should be better. So when now these are bill and then they act as if they are not protecting. It's like we go with you and I know you are the one who will protect me. Or my friend here, you are my lawyer, we are in court. And then all of a sudden, I hear that you are not, I relied on you to protect me.
And you're no longer on
and once we reach there now, we find that you are working against me, or rather you are not protecting me in the best way possible. So I think the chair Council of Governors has a reason to question why the Senate made them not get whatever they wanted, the 407 billion. So it's a genuine observation. It's a genuine call from the Chair Council of Governors. However, I'm sure that this is not the reason as why they are threatening to close down. The single reason why they are threatening to close down is that funds have not been dispersed.
All right. Now, let's still talk about funds then.
Yeah.
Let's talk about money.
Yes.
But now, I want to shift this gear to a different number.
Yeah.
Public service sector unions have rejected the plan by the president to introduce a new levy. And I know you've heard of this particular levy of 3% of the employee's income to be deducted in order for it to fund affordable housing. They have rejected it. Can this move work? Dan?
To me, I think there should have been enough consultation before it coming to the public or before it being implemented. I'm not very sure whether there was enough background background checks to know actually what else. We remember the other day the other deductions from the public service which were done. NSSF no longer 200 but same being deducted in the initial percentage. So there ought to have been some talks maybe with the union, with all other stakeholders, so that even when this thing is brought to the limelight or when it's brought to the implementation, there should have been good consultation with all stakeholders, so that everybody would feel consulted. I think it's not right to just bring it.
But then, I'm wondering, Dan and Frank here. The government is trying to find ways of developing the country from the county level. Housing is a very important issue, especially in Kenya, where we have many who are staying in pathetic places in the country. This 3% that the president has mentioned, don't you feel that it is a solution and a way that will open great doors for Kenyans? Because now you complain that, you know what, you need our money, but you should have consulted us. And at the same time, when the government is trying to get money so that there is development, governors are complaining that we will shut down everything if you don't give us money. So I'm seeing a catch-22 here, but I'll come to that. I'm seeing a catch-22, Frank. Don't you see that?
Everybody wants to live in a good house, and there's no one who will reject a proposal to have his house built to the standards that he or she requires, because everybody wants to live in a good
But
house.
then why are they rejecting this?
However, when you want to get into my pocket and get money out of my pocket, consultation is key. Otherwise, I'll term you as a thief. It is acceptable when you have a conversation with me and tell me, hey, look here, I want to build you a good house and this is the plan. The president has not done that. The president literally went to a church. He was excited by the crowd who turned up, and he decided to make a promise to them. It might sound a sweet promise.
I don't think that was the case.
However,
he was excited by the crowd, moved by the crowd to make a promise
we are
of such magnitude.
We are used to this president who is always making promises that he does not fulfill. I don't want to remind you of the stadiums to be built within 6 months, which are not yet done up to now. So we are used to this president who goes, meets a crowd and makes promises.
But
however,
he says
implementation...
That still, because you've made a point there,
yes.
Still, let me remind you also that President said
yes.
that back then, yes. when they were focused on development,
yes.
handshake manenos came in,
yes.
thereby disrupting their agenda. But
yes.
proceed.
That is politics.
That is still politics.
That is politics.
Yes.
But when it comes to the point of implementing those decisions, it might take you a while before you actually realize them if there was no proper consultation, involvement of stakeholders and even those who are involved, for them to be able to accept the idea and move forward with it. So it might be very, very difficult. So as Mr. Modi said, there ought to be an organization or a platform in which these parties are brought to the table so that they agree to this proposal, so that when it comes to implementation, it becomes easy. Otherwise, Kenyans are tired of these taxes. There are so many taxes that has seen even the cost of living going high. And what the common person right now wants to hear is that the cost of hunger has gone down, not more taxes. Yes.
All right. Yes.
Thank you. As Wakiria said, everybody in Kenya requires to live in a decent house. No doubt about that. That one we are in agreement. However, in governance, we say this is called stakeholders theory. Stakeholders theory states that anything that you do, just put yourself into the shoes of each and every stakeholder. As the government talks of these 3%, can they put themselves into the shoes of this civil servant who is almost operating in a hand-to-mouth payslip because he has committed this is our money
to different
elsewhere.
Things.
To different, so
cost of electricity, cost of hunger,
and maybe a loan somewhere. So whatever you are left with is only something to just keep you going.
So if
you are happy with that.
So if only you are consulted, it will be better.
After the consultation, maybe they would have readjusted themselves. They would also, and maybe known, this is the time we will implement this. Don't do it now, do it at this particular time. Don't do it this way, but do it in this other way. Through consultation, so that at least each and every stakeholder will feel that is comfortable with whichever decision. What I mean is, we definitely require decent houses. Government requires money. But how we get this money, how this policy is implemented, that is the question.
I feel for our president. I feel for our president. You want to develop an area when you want to implement a certain levy, it's rejected. The county still, they want to down their tools. And we have rains wreaking havoc, floods wreaking havoc in Mandera and Kisumu County, displacing over 2,000 people. Let's conclude with that particular note there. Floods wreaking havoc in there. What's the solution? Our president, nimona kama siku hizi inamsumbua sana. He's trying to get a solution. Frank.
Yes.
Floods wreaking havoc in Mandera and Kisumu. 2,000 people displaced.
For the 29 years that I have lived in life, it is so unfortunate that floods still have to wreak havoc within some counties. We've had this problem, this is not the first time, and again we've had, now this is the 5th government dealing with the same problem. So this just shows that we are not even a developing country, we are below a developing country when floods hit us, and we are not able to come up with a solution to such a problem. It is high time that we put in structures to ensure that floods do not cause destruction to the people again.
Dan, what do you think about this? And I was even seeing floods here within Nairobi. I was concerned when last week I saw a whole Prado submerged
in water.
In water, and it was at someone's garage. So I wonder what this mechanic will tell the owner.
Yeah. Thank you, Long. I have a lot of confidence with the current government.
Yes.
And I know they are equal to the task.
Yes, they are.
But let us have short-term plans or short-term goals. For example, we require money for the counties. That's something has to be done fast and in whichever way possible, the best way possible. We should also have middle-term goals and long-term goals. What am I saying? We are complaining of floods, and just the other day we were complaining of drought. This water is sweeping houses, is sweeping cars, it's going to the lakes and the Indian Ocean.
So what do you do now?
Now, it will not be too long before we start now complaining also of drought. So we should have long-term plans of how this water can be harvested.
All right.
We have talked of that several times. Remember Budalangi? They were sweeping people, but still something was done, but still we are hearing this elsewhere. So we should have long-term plans where this water is harvested, conserved, so that it can be used in case of drought.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. That's
ought to be done.
Dan Mwadhi, governance expert. Frank Nyamori, political analyst. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. And it is on that note that we bring this conversation to a close. Still, I ask, can we give the government time to work? Anyway, still, topic for another day. Ladies and gentlemen, from my end, it's a wrap. My name is Ram Aguko. It has been a pleasure being with you today.